Hello, I'm Leif Clayson, and in this video I'm going to show how to set up BreakawayOne using a few parts well, there's a Lenovo laptop here that has never had BreakawayOne installed, a couple of adapters which we're going to need, a couple of BNC cables, a Behringer UMC 202 HD audio card, a transmitter from, this is a nice little 1-watt transmitter from BW with a not so nice case by yours truly, but you know, it'll get the job done. While I'm putting this together, I'd like to tell you this is unrehearsed and hopefully unedited. So I'm just going to show you in real time what it takes to set things up. We'll also use a little modulation analyzer from the PIRA 75 in order to get our modulation level right, and a trusty old battery-powered boombox for audio output. Also, this oscilloscope, it's a Tektronix 465. I bought it for $75 on Craigslist, something like 15 years ago, and it was old already when I bought it, and I'm amazed it survived this long, but there you are. It's old, but it works. So let's start. Well, let's start by assembling the adapters. The Behringer has, of course, a 1/4-inch output, so we use that to go to RCA, and then here's an RCA to BNC adapter. Put those together. Then let's use a short cable to go from the Behringer to the oscilloscope. There's that. And a little T connector so that we can feed the oscilloscope and the exciter at the same time. Because when doing measurements like this, it's always a good idea to measure under load, just in case anything changes. So we'll connect this to the oscilloscope. And as we can see, yeah, so obviously that's connected. Let's start by unboxing the Behringer. I have previously unboxed this, but it's basically new. Away. So there's the Behringer, and I prepared a USB cable, and it's here. So we'll start by connecting it. Phantom power is off. That looks good. We definitely don't want to fry our, well, we're not going to be using the input anyway. Okay, and let's connect this, and then we can put that away. Make sure the output is all the way up, because the output level is quite low on this thing anyway. Well, that looks noisy. Not sure why that is. Aha, of course. It's the cables. All the adapters probably oxidized. There. So let's connect this straight to the oh, well, actually no, let's not connect. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay, so that added something. It's probably leakage from the transmitter, but it doesn't matter for what we want to do. So let's start on the computer. We'll start by installing the Behringer driver. There. And then let's install Breakaway Pipeline. And then let's install BreakawayOne. We're going to use Breakaway Pipeline to feed Winamp into BreakawayOne to use as an audio source. Normally you'd probably want to use the inputs of the sound card, but that would just complicate things right now. And by that I mean then I'd have to find a source to actually plug into the sound card rather than just doing it inside a computer. So let's start by running the config program and audio processing course. Yeah, we don't have a license now, we'll just run it in trial mode because that works. Let's start by picking the TeamViewer remote desktop mode so that will also make it behave better on a touchscreen. Let's see. So we'll want to look at common audio devices and ASIO, because the Behringer card supports ASIO, and if ASIO is available, then it's a much better idea to use that for the output than to use, for example, kernel streaming. And it's going to need to run at 192 kilohertz, otherwise no composite. Let's reload the driver. Okay, that's a large buffer size, but that should be okay, I guess. Right, run test status. No channel selected, because with ASIO, once we've picked the sound card, we're going to have to do the routing and choose what channel should be coming out of what sound card output. So we look at the outputs, and we don't want a common monitor output for this because, and you know what? Now I've completely forgotten to set it up as an FM processor. So let's do that first. Audio processing cores. We don't need HD. We want a full FM core. Or actually, you know what? Basic is fine. Apply. Yep. Common audio devices. And now for the outputs. Now you see we have an FM processor, so we pick the MPX outputs, output 1 and output 2, why not? And for inputs, we won't have any inputs here because that'd be from the sound card. So instead, we'll go to the main configuration and FM processor, and here at this input, we'll use kernel streaming and breakaway pipeline 1. Auto configure the block size. And that's it, run test. Looks perfect. I should tell you what, let's do 44.1 instead, because otherwise, yeah, it's important to match a kernel streaming input sample rate with the sample rates of your files, because otherwise you're asking either the pipeline or Windows to do sample rate conversion, and they don't do it very well. By matching the sample rate here, BreakawayOne will do the sample rate conversion, and it does it very well. So let's look at the pipeline configuration tool. Pipeline, the control panel here, and make sure that the cable is set to handle 44.1 to 48 kilohertz. Okay, good. That's it. And then let's go to the control panel, audio control panel in Windows, and make sure that line 1 is set to 44 kilohertz as the default format, and it's not, so we'll change that. Otherwise Windows would be converting to and from 48K for no reason, even though what we're going to be playing is sourced from a CD, so it's obviously at 44.1. Okay. And yeah, that should do it. So now if we start BreakawayOne, that's the remote, we don't want that. There we go. And let's see what happens if we play Winamp now. And it comes right into the player. I picked the song Lenny Kravitz, Fly Away, because it starts with audio in only one channel, which helps to make sure that this oscilloscope, that the composite output is actually stereo. And there we got 2 channels again. So let's stop that one. Okay, now let's see if the output works. So we'll go to the FM processor here, miscellaneous I/O. And for MPX output 1, let's add a test tone, 400 Hertz. And so it was not actually working. Okay, there, now that's working. So let's turn the level down a bit, adjust the trig of the oscilloscope, and yeah, as you can see, it's noisy because the transmitter is on. We'll just turn the transmitter off for right now. Yeah, so these are old adapters. Obviously, you'd want to use something better than this for an actual transmitter setup. As in, make your own cable rather than relying on multiple adapters. But for the purposes of this test, this will do. Okay, so it's obviously noisy. It could be a ground loop or whatever. Okay, so that's the 400 Hertz test tone. So then let's start with let's look at the square wave. And this is where I was quite impressed with the Behringer, because it doesn't tilt a whole lot. You can see there's a little bit of tilt there, but not too much, so we can compensate by using the tilt. Let's maximize this. There we go, tilt compensation. So we'll just turn the tilt up until we get a good square wave. There, +8. So does this make a difference? Oh, well, look at that. So the transmitter actually loads the output down, because now if I connect this in, notice how now it's tilting outwards because we're compensated too much. So that's why it's important to measure the chain the way it's actually going to be connected, because otherwise, I mean, if you adjusted the output of the Behringer without being loaded with your transmitter, and then connect the transmitter, you're going to have inwards tilt, which would result in overmodulation, lost loudness, lost bass, all those things that you don't want. And now let's do the quick sweep, because that tests the high frequency response. It's a quick sweep from 1,000 hertz to 60,000 hertz. And look at that. Now that is just beautiful. Let's see if we can, there we go. So as you can see, I mean, the sweep starts here at 1,000 hertz and goes up to 60,000 hertz, and it doesn't lose any level at all. It's dead, it's rock solid. So that's a nice thing about this Behringer card. Its specs are actually really good, and the price is incredible too. And disclaimer: I was not paid a dime by Behringer to say this. It's just genuinely a good product. So now that that's set up, let's play some music there and see what the waveform looks like. And as you can see, here's the composite output, and you can see it's asymmetrical right now. Like, the peaks are going either up and down, and that's because the audio is left channel only. But here comes the stereo part, and as you can see, peak control there is perfect. It looks just like it will look on the internal oscilloscope. Well, this one flickers more obviously, but as you can see, we have a perfect match now. So now we know that the composite output of BreakawayOne, including stereo generator, is going into the transmitter as it should. So let's plug the power to the transmitter back in, and let's bring the radio up. Yeah, nice and modern, I know. And then wait for the exciter to come on. There we go. So let's restart the song so you can hear the stereo. Well, you know, I don't know if my camera has stereo microphones, but we'll find out, I guess. Definitely stereo from where I'm sitting. Yeah, so that's it. We're on the air. That's it. But we can also check with the modulation analyzer to see what modulation we're actually at. I haven't used this in a while. I don't know if it even works. Let's see. So we'll probably have to go in here to tune it. Is there an enter button? No. Okay, so this guy may not work, or it's the antenna, or I don't know. But never mind. I mean, we're already on the air. Obviously, you do need a modulation monitor to do this, to set things up properly, and I don't have one handy. But even without that, we are on the air in full stereo in a few minutes. So that's it. Thanks for watching.